Lieutenant General R.P. Kalita took over as the General Officer Commanding in Chief of the prestigious Eastern Command on 1st February 2022. Prior to this, he was Director General Manpower Planning and Personal Services in Army Headquarters, New Delhi. The General Officer was commissioned into 9 Kumaon in 1984 and has an extensive operational experience in Sri Lanka, Jammu and Kashmir, and the Northeast. He commanded a Rashtriya Rifles Battalion in Kashmir, a mountain brigade in peace, and infantry division actively committed in counter-insurgency operations in Jammu and Kashmir and strategically important corps in the Northeast. He has rich experience by virtue of serving in varied staff appointments to include key appointments in Military Secretary's branch, Operational Logistics Directorate, and Adjutant General's branch in Integrated Headquarters of Ministry of Defence Army. He has also served as a Colonel GS of a division and BGS operations of a corps in highly active counter-insurgency environment. He is an alumnus of Defence Services Staff College Wellington, Higher Command, National Defence College, and served twice in United Nations as a military observer in Sierra Leone and Chief Operations Officer in Sudan. For his illustrious contribution to the service, he has been confirmed with Param Vishishta Seva Medal, Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, Ati Vishishta Seva Medal, Sena Medal, Vishishta Seva Medal, Chief of Army Staff Commendation Card, and GOC&C Eastern Command Commendation Card. Jai Hind.
The friends from the media here present today. Firstly, on my behalf and on behalf of the Eastern Command, I wish to express my thanks and gratitude to all of you for being present here today. The first time I had conducted such type of media interaction was in the Press Club of Kolkata, and where I still remember there were a battery of questions which I tried to answer to the best of my ability. Last 2 years have been very, very challenging as far as Eastern Command is concerned, whether it relates to the non-borders or the counter-insurgency situation in the Northeast. You all are aware of the challenges that we faced in Manipur post 3rd of May this year, as also the Glacier Lake outburst which took place in Sikkim in October this year. Needless to say that in spite of all these challenges, Eastern Command has resolutely performed its task of guarding its national borders, as also maintaining security and peace in the hinterland. We all are prepared, always and every time, to perform the designated role that has been mandated to us. And I wish all of you all the best, and in advance a happy 2024. Now I can take on any questions, but I would only request that keep your questions related to the area of Eastern Command.
We have time till 11. Sir, I'm Pooja from Z News. My question is, we've seen the recent turn of events in Manipur, and we've also seen how AFSPA has been extended in the hill districts, but there's no AFSPA in the valley area. How difficult it is for the Indian Army to operate in this situation of crisis when there's no AFSPA in the valley area?
Even in the absence of AFSPA in the valley area, there are certain guidelines which are enshrined in the CRPC, which give certain rights to the Indian Army to operate. Of course, that has to be ensured with the presence of the judicial magistrate and the police representative in the party whenever we carry out any searches or whenever we carry out any apprehension in those areas where AFSPA has been retained. Otherwise, I would say that we have not had any difficulty because we have had excellent cooperation from the state police as also the state bureaucracy. So during the crisis, we didn't have any problem in operating in those areas in spite of AFSPA not being there.
Sir, good morning. My name is Moitre. I'm from the Chobish Ghanta. Sir, regarding Manipur situations, and also in recent days, we have seen insurgent groups are being active in certain areas of Northeast. especially with the help of our neighboring countries. How do you see the situation and what are the challenges it possesses, as well as in Manipur, there are immigrants are coming in, the influx of immigrants flowing inside our territory that has increased. So how do you see the challenges for us to handle the situation, both in insurgents area and immigrants? Thank you.
As far as Manipur is concerned, there are two things which has complicated the internal turmoil that took place on 3rd of May. You all are aware that it started off as a conflict between the two communities, that's Kukis and the Meiteis. And till that time, the militant groups which are of Kuki community, majority of them were in some sort of a ceasefire agreement, and they were located in various camps. And certain groups of the Meitei community, the militant groups, they had established camps across in Myanmar, and they used to come off and on. But then their relevance had gone down substantially in last couple of years. But when this development started in Manipur of violent activities, so at that point of time, the militant groups on both community sides, they tried to assume the role of protectors of their respective communities, and then they sought relevance within their respective communities by means of support, which I feel is not good for the internal security situation as far as Manipur is concerned. And that's an area of concern which we need to address. And you all are aware that following the need of engagement with various militant groups, UNLF Pambai group, one of the Meitei militant group, there is a ceasefire which was signed a couple of months back, and because of which the majority of them have come overground. There are certain elements who are still across. There are efforts being made to get them also across. So that's how I think the problem is being addressed. But what complicates the situation in Manipur is, one, I have already mentioned, that influx of the militant seeking relevance back in the society. And the second thing is to do with the internal situation in Myanmar. You know, there is a conflict within Myanmar, and that has spread to the areas closer to the Indo-Myanmar boundary. So whenever there is a conflict, whenever there are violent activities between the Myanmar army and the opposing forces, which displaces the population, civilian population from the villages, which are located close to our borders, and then they come onto our side seeking refuge. So there are certain processes which are laid down, they are being followed. Some of them, of course, after the immediate violence, they try and go back to their own villages, but some of them decide to stay put. So that certain, as per the procedures and biometric details are being taken, and their data are being compiled, and that is being done by the state police and supported by the Assam Rifle, which is deployed as the border guarding force. But definitely this continuous influx and continuous movement of population across the borders causes some sort of anxiety in terms of, you know, contraband smuggling, because that gives rise to and it facilitates contraband smuggling. And alongside that, there are also weapon smuggling which take place. So those are the challenges which are faced by us, and it is accentuated by the difficult geography and the terrain conditions which are obtained in those border areas, because there are very thick jungles in those areas. Some of those areas are very, very thick jungles are existing. So it becomes very difficult for us to, you know, dominate every inch of the border. So those are the challenges which are faced because of this problem in Manipur, as well as instability and fighting in Myanmar.
Sir,
अच्छा, मेरा सवाल रिलेटेड है अरुणाचल और तिब्बत बॉर्डर से। लास्ट ईयर हमने देखा था कि वो तिब्बत सेक्टर में जो तवांग सेक्टर में जो प्रॉब्लम हुई थी, कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हुआ था, उसके बाद एक जो खबर आ रही थी कि सीएबी यानी कंबाइंड आर्म्स ब्रिगेड चाइना की ओर से वहां पर डिप्लॉय की जा रही है, उसको ट्रांसफर किया जा रहा है। तो और ऐसी कोई खबर या क्या सिचुएशन है अभी वहां पर उसके बाद से?
Your question relates to the situation and the line of actual control in the non-borders.
Yes, sir.
See, as of now, the situation in the Eastern Theatre, as far as the line of actual control is concerned, is stable, but it's unpredictable. You all are aware of the escalation which had taken place in Tawang sector last year sometime. Thereafter, we have been able to resolve any sort of smaller differences in opinion through the established mechanism of having dialogues at these points where we have the border meetings, as also following various protocols. So we have not been having any major issues this year till now. However, nothing can be predicted. You know, it can any sort of escalation can happen at any point of time, and we are prepared. That's our main job, and we are prepared for all sides of contingencies. As far as PLA is concerned, they have been developing infrastructure which are closer to the border. That process has been going on for many years now, whether in Eastern Ladakh or whether opposite Eastern Theatre. The construction of roads, construction of the helipads and the airports that are taking place constantly. And as and when the infrastructure is developing, certain amount of forward deployment of their troops are also taking place, so that to have to particularly probably to dominate those areas more effectively as and when the infrastructure comes up. I think that is all that's happening as of now, and nothing other than the normal deployment of some troops in the forward areas and the infrastructure development. Nothing else is taking place as of now.
Sir, Ujjwal Roy from ANI, this side, sir. What steps are being taken to prepare the Indian Army to fight the next conflict, which would involve cyberspace, artificial intelligence, drone, etc.? It's a big challenge for Indian Army on intelligence, internal security, sir.
Yeah, in this, yes, definitely the nature of warfare is changing with the technological development. So it is not only limited to the firing of bullets and firing of RT guns. It is gone into the domain of various artificial intelligence, cyber, space, and everything. All become part of various domains of conflict. So Indian Army is also evolving. Like I think the Chief of Army Staff had also announced in various, he had made a mention in his various press interactions that 2023, that is this year, was designated as the year of transformation by the Indian Army, wherein the modernization of forces was one of the major pillars which was designated and which was focused on. And towards this end, we have, you all are aware that we have a space command and we have a cyber agency. So they are looking at various domains which are likely, which you mentioned. And we also are promoting the startups and the MSMEs to induct niche technologies into our warfighting technology and methods. So that's a continuous process which is being driven by Army Design Bureau, which is been designated as the lead agency on behalf of the armed forces to drive the process of modernization, induction of niche technology and their exploitation. So we have, induction of new generation technology which are taking place. We are trying to get into MOUs with academia and various startups so that we are able to develop or exploit the niche technologies that are developing. So it's a continuous process, but there is a lot of focus on this. And I think as we go along, we'll be prepared to fight in all spectrum of battle, including cyber and space.
Hi, sir. 18. So my question is, like, from the month of May, things are not normal in Manipur. Now this is the end of December. Things are better than what it was in the month of May. But when will Manipur fall in place, and why things are still not falling in place? And I'll just add another question to it. In Manipur, the forces have also faced various problems. They have been obstructed in various places by various groups. What is your suggestion for the people who are, who will be there after your retirement?
See, Manipur had posed certain peculiar challenges during this violence which escalated from 3rd of May. But after the immediate heightened violent activities which took place on 3rd, 4th and 5th May, when we inducted on 3rd, 4th night itself, and thereafter Army and Assam Rifles and operating alongside the state police as also the CAPF were able to control the violence, and we had given shelter to close to 35,000 people who were displaced from both the communities, and they were taken to the safer areas, and then thereafter some of them were housed in the displaced people camps, and some of them have already gone back in last about 6-7 months to their villages or their interim some temporary structures which has been created for these people. So, but the availability of weapons on both on side of both the communities, whether it was stolen from the police armories or it got inducted from Myanmar, that's an issue, you know, which remains, which a challenge which remains, because till the time the weapons are available in the society, the violence level can escalate at any point of time. So we have launched numerous coordinated operations, and number of weapons and ammunition have been recovered in last 5-6 months. And apart from that, from the state government side and from the central government side, I'm conscious that there are a lot of efforts which are being made to engage both communities which are involved in the conflict, whether it is at the political level or at the level of the civil societies, which generally drive a lot of issues in Manipur. So recently also, I think yesterday also the Chief Minister, Honorable Chief Minister had made a mention that we have to, dialogue is the only way forward, and we have to live like brothers. That is the statement which the Honorable Chief Minister of Manipur has made in last couple of days. And I think the dialogue is also taking place at the political level, between the political leaders of both the communities as also the civil society leaders. I think that's the only way forward by which we can look for a permanent solution. While our duty remains as the armed forces being employed in such areas to ensure that there are no violent activities and the violence parameters are brought down to the minimum level.
At the end, yes,
Sir.
please introduce yourself and your.
Yeah.
Arjun, sir.
Sir, this is Sweetie Kumari from the Indian Express. You spoke about influx of migrants in Myanmar side. Could you please give more details to it? Like what is the latest trend, whether it is from the southern side, because we know that it has been for a while. Secondly, you have spoken about weapons readily available with the two communities, adding to the ethnic issue there. So who do you think shall be held responsible for that? Like, and what is the solution to that?
The solution to the weapons problem is recovery of these weapons, and to ensure, it's a simple solution actually. We need to recover all the weapons that were stolen or that were made available to these people from various sources, and we need to ensure that the society remains free of all kinds of weapons and equipment. What was the first part of your question?
So if you could just give us some details
Okay, that
on the
details,
latest
yeah.
trend of influx.
Influx. You see, since 2021, when the coup had taken place in Myanmar, there has been some amount of conflict, and during the initial phase, a majority of the influx had taken place in Mizoram, mostly in Mizoram, and some limited amount had been trickling into Manipur also. But that was restricted to the southern part of the Manipur. That's how the situation was till about a couple of months back. Only change we have now observed is in last about month or so, we have seen in the northern, some influx taking place in the northern parts of Manipur as well, because of the increased fighting between the Myanmar army and the opposing forces in the areas closer to the border opposite the Ukhrul district. So that is the only change we find. But the pattern remains the same. Whenever there is an escalation of violence, say, some people come and the majority of them go back, and some people decide to stay back. And there is a definite procedure which is followed to keep a database of these people who are staying back.
Arjun, sir, good morning. मैं एन अर्जुन अमर उजाला से सर मैं मणिपुर से थोड़ा आसाम की तरफ आपको लेके जाना चाहूँगा। पिछले कुछ दिनों में अपर असम में अल्फा की कुछ जो अल्फा आई की जो है घटनाएं बढ़ी हैं। इस दौरान ये माना जा रहा है कि 29 तारीख को अल्फा जो खुफिया ग्रुप है वो केंद्र सरकार के साथ जो है बातचीत करने को तैयार हो रहा है और 29 तारीख को बातचीत होने की तैयार है। सर, इस मद्देनजर असम में जो शांति स्थापित करने की, जो परेश बरुआ को वापस लाने की जो बातचीत कर रही है, उस मद्देनजर आप क्या देखते हैं सर? असम में किस तरह की कैसे शांति स्थापित होगी जब तक कि परेश बरुआ वापस नहीं लौटते?
Can I reply in English or Hindi?
किसी ने भी
मिक्स करके बोलता हूँ. Assam, see, last couple of years, the situation in Assam had more or less, normalized. In major parts of Assam, the situation had become normal, following which there are a lot of developmental activities that have been taking place in Assam, whether in terms of infrastructure development or investment coming in. A lot of work has been going on in Assam, and Assam has made a lot of progress. The only area of concern was the 4 districts in Upper Assam where Armed Forces Special Power Act is still in place. There are only 4 districts where it is still in place, and in balance of the district it has already been removed in Assam. That is based on the reduced violence parameters. So even in these 4 districts, there are certain minor incidents here and there which are taking place of grenade throwing or something, some extortion activities or some kidnapping activities, which are basically aimed at to keep the relevance of this group alive. And that is the aim. No major activities has been taking place, and I think our forces which are deployed there alongside Assam police, they are handling the situation very well, I would say. But the other side of the problem is, or the issue in Assam, is the ongoing talks with the pro-talk Alpha group, which is led by Anup Setia and other people. So that has been going on for quite some time. And it is supposed to be, as available in the media, I think we are expecting some sort of a agreement being signed on 29th. And I think yesterday the Anup Setia and the Secretary Sasadhar Chaudhary both have gone to Delhi as per the news, and they are going to have some meetings with the concerned authority in the central government. And that is one part of the solution, which would definitely see peace and prosperity returning to major parts of Assam. The other side is the remnants of ULFA, that is ULFA I, which is led by Paresh Borua, who are still across. They have the capability to organize some sporadic violent activities here and there at times, but I don't think they have got adequate strength to disturb the peace that has been established in Assam with a lot of difficulties and a lot of sacrifices by the security forces as well as Assam police. They have some limited capabilities. Majority of them are across, and they are just involving in some sporadic grenade throwing activities, as also some extortion and kidnapping. I think that's about all, but I would like to urge Paresh Borua and all those people to come back to Assam and enjoy the fruits of peace and development and work for the prosperity of the society.
Hi sir, this is Shavana from PTI Video Service, and my question to you is that since we are talking about LAC, if some untoward incidents happen, as we have witnessed earlier, so how Indian Army is preparing themselves? And my second question is that then there has been several operations by the Indian Army, but that has been questioned in several grounds. And recently we have seen the surgical strike, which has been questioning till now. So how do you react to that?
As far as LAC is concerned, I mentioned this little while ago that we are developing our own infrastructure so that our response improves. We are also focusing on the capability development by induction of new generation weapons and equipment and their exploitation. And we are also inducting troops wherever required to meet various contingencies that are likely to arise along the LAC. So suffice to say that we are quite well prepared all along the Eastern Theatre. So
repeat the second question.
I would not like to answer the question on something which is not part of Eastern Theatre, please.
So this is Ravi Shankar from TV9 Bharatvarsh. My question is, though it is a foreign land, Nepal and Bhutan, China has been developing massively in those lands close to Indian border. How much that is a concern when we are talking about chicken neck and how we are preparing to control the things what are happening in those development?
You see, what happens between China and Nepal or China and Bhutan is not in my domain. So I would not like to make any guesses of their relationship. But what I would like to say is any sort of contingency that are likely to develop through these areas, we are well cognizant of those contingencies and we are well prepared to address those contingencies.
My question is like when things are developing on those sides of the border, uh, how far it is the security, how much that is concerned to the when it comes to India and those developments in those foreign lands, how much it is concerned about when it comes to the security of the land.
Any sort of development which has an impact on the security situation of our country is taken note of by relevant authorities. We have got different agencies of the government which are looking at these particular aspects, which includes your Ministry of External Affairs and the other agencies, governmental agencies. And we have various forums where all these issues are discussed and a necessary response matrix prepared accordingly.
Question from the right side, please. Yes, Meenakshi.
सिक्किम का जो फ्लड हुआ उसके बाद से
Please introduce yourself and your media house.
सदी नामा से मीनाक्षी संगनेरिया। सिक्किम में जो फ्लड आया उसके बाद में वहाँ पर आपने जो डेवलपमेंट किए वो किस रूप में हुए और क्या हुए, थोड़ा सा जानकारी दीजिए।
Sikkim on night of 3rd, 4th October, when the glacial lake outburst had taken place, there was a massive damage. All of you who have been there or who have seen these photographs and who have been there earlier, you can possibly make an assessment of the type of damage that has been caused and the ferocity of the flood which came in. In spite of a lot of our posts had got impacted, and in spite of all those, I think our troops immediately went on ground and rescued the people who were cut off. Particularly, our immediate concern was to reach out to the areas which are cut off by road communication or by telecommunication. That was the immediate concern, the villages plus our posts. Then there were a number of tourists who were stranded. So initial focus was to rescue all these people, the civilian population, as also the tourists. And then thereafter, any people who were injured or any mortal remains found, they were recovered and the injured were evacuated to the nearest medical hospitals. And having done that, next focus was on the development or the restoration of the infrastructure damage that has been caused by the flood. That is still ongoing because it's some places it has already been done. Some temporary measures have been taken. Some temporary bridges have been launched so that the basic connectivity is established. But for the permanent infrastructure to come up, it's going to take time, which is still being worked at. The third thing was, you all are aware that one of the ammunition dump had got washed away. And there are a lot of unexploded bombs and those things lying along the riverbed. So that also involved a major exercise. We had immediately assessed the likely damage it may cause, and we had issued advisories to the state of West Bengal as well as Sikkim so that civilian common population along the river, Tista River, are advised not to venture out into those possible areas where the reactions might have come. And then thereafter, we have been jointly working with both the governments alongside the police and the civil administration to demine those areas, to clear those areas by employing our various teams, special teams which we have. So they have been carrying out as per the priority which has been given to us by both the state governments. So, but that's an ongoing process. It's going to take some more time to clear the entire area. So that's how we had carried out the operations.
Yes, please.
About the theaterization plan to integrate the three services. As an army commander, you have been part of the deliberations, I'm sure. When is it going to take place and get implemented in the armed forces?
and what would be the hierarchy and what would be the three service chief's role if this theaterization happens in time?
See, there are a lot of deliberations still going on. It's an ongoing process. The process of theaterization, you all are aware, is aimed at enhancing the capability, war-waging capability of the Indian Armed Forces, and it is based on the principle of optimal utilization of the resources, jointness, and integration. It basically aims at having certain joint theater-specific structures which can respond to any sort of situation and which can exploit the strengths of all the three services that are there. So jointness and integration are the key factors, and it also needs to be able to address any sort of future threat. So that is the basic concept or the construct based on which the deliberations are going on as far as theaterization are concerned. Exact contours of how it is going to manifest, whether various structures, whether the three services or the joint structures that are going to come about, it can only be mentioned once we get total clarity on that, because still now deliberations are on. Once everything is drawn out, then only we'll be able to brief you in more details about that. But it's an ongoing process. It's going to take a little bit of more time before the whole contours are finalized.
A question from the right side, then we'll come back.
मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर, नेक्स्ट ईयर हम लोगों का लोकसभा वोट है। अब जो नॉर्थ साइड का हम लोगों का डिस्टर्ब एरिया है, उसकी सिक्योरिटी के न्यू प्लान कुछ है क्या, इसके बारे में थोड़ा सा बताइए।
Generally, we have before elections there are detailed plans drawn out by the election commission who conducts the elections based on the security threats and the assessment which are given, and that's a normal process which is followed by the police and the state administration and the election commission. And wherever there is a requirement, if we have to participate, we go and help out. Otherwise, generally it is looked at by the state police and the CHAF only.
Yeah. Sir, hi, Mohit again. Sir, you were talking about the infrastructure development in Sikkim areas, but in general, in border areas, what do you feel that when it comes to infrastructure, what is lacking and what should be done in, prioritizing? What are the things should be prioritized for dual military and civil use in border areas? What infrastructure is lacking and what should be the priority right now?
Basic thing is the connectivity in terms of roads. The first requirement is road connectivity up to the remotest of the areas, say up to the border post. Okay, that is the first one. That is what we call as forward connectivity. And second is you also need to have some lateral connectivity for sidestepping of people from one valley, because they are all narrow valleys. So to connect each one valley to another valley, you need certain lateral connectivity. So first thing that is required is road connectivity. And second, what you require is communication in terms of the data connectivity, in terms of the mobile connectivity. So that is again the second aspect which is required. And the third aspect which is required is, of course, your helipads and airports, so that you have better connectivity to those areas, because by road it takes a lot of time. All of you who have traveled in these areas are familiar that because of the large distances involved and the areas being prone to landslide and snow slides and all these avalanches, so by road movement takes a lot of time. So we need to depend on helipads and other ALGs to a large measure. So that's the third aspect which is required. And the fourth aspect is, of course, your accommodation for people to stay and operate from there. So these are the four things mainly which we are concentrating on.
Yes, please.
So my
After her.
So my question is again relating to Sikkim. It's like you highlighted that PLA has been building infrastructure, be it roads, airport across the border, and it's been happening in the last couple of years, and they are developing in a very fast pace. However, if you look at Sikkim, each year there is one monsoon, the roads get washed away, especially as far as the chicken snake is concerned, the Shiliguri corridor. There's this one road connectivity which is NH10. In recent cloudburst also, we saw how North Sikkim remained completely cut off, be it roads, be it in terms of telecom connectivity, and due to inclement weather, it was difficult flying as well. Do you think in absence of an alternative route that connects North Sikkim, which connects the forward areas also, the army is facing a lot of difficulty, especially in the monsoon months?
Yeah, there are some alternate routes, but they are not well developed. Like even during, you all are aware that during this flood also, when NH10 got cut off, there's a road from Ranok, that I think Gurugathan, that area, there is a road which goes up. So that's an alternate connectivity exists, but it's not, it's a single lane sort of thing. So if there are large convoys from both sides, there are problems. There are issues in case of any single lines of communication to any part of the country. So there are efforts to make alternate arrangements, but it's going to take some time. But I'm aware that the plans are there to ensure that there is an alternate connectivity, not only in Sikkim, even in Arunachal as well.
अर्जुन सर, मेरे दो तीन सवाल है अरुणाचल प्रदेश को लेकर के। पहले तो 10 अप्रैल को इसी साल गृह मंत्री अमित शाह ने वाइब्रेंट विलेज का उद्घाटन किया था टीवी थ्रू से। वो किस तरह से भारतीय सेना के लिए गेम चेंजर होगा, एक। दूसरा, तेजू से लेके वालोंग तक जो है एक टाइम था जब 1962 में 18 दिन पैदल यात्रा जाना पड़ता था, जो कि अब सिमट कर 4 से 5 घंटे में रह जाएगा। जिस तरह की डेवलपमेंट वहाँ हो रही है, जिस तरह की सड़कें वहाँ बन रही है, जिस तरह के वहाँ पर पुल बन रहे हैं और अग्रिम पोस्ट तक, यहाँ तक कि दीचू तक या काहो से आगे तक भी जो है सड़कें बन रही है और तवांग का जो सेला पास जो है वो टनल बन के तैयार है और जनवरी महीने में शायद उसका उद्घाटन होगा। ये जो सड़कों का जाल, ये जो टनल और जो वाइब्रेंट विलेज है, ये भारतीय सेना को किस तरह से गेम चेंजर के रूप में देखते हैं?
First is the improvement in infrastructure facilitates not only the armed forces, it facilitates the promotion of tourism, it facilitates the local population who are living there definitely, and it helps in bringing up the infrastructure as also the quality of life of the people who are living there. The basic aim of the Vibrant Village program was to ensure that these villages which are located along the border, close to the border areas, because you see there are a lot of migration which have taken place over the years from the areas which are closer to the border. So in search of better amenities, in search of better infrastructure, people have started coming down. So there is a requirement to provide source of livelihood to these people and also to provide basic amenities to the people in their own villages. So that is the basic thrust behind the Vibrant Village program, based on which it was announced. And definitely Indian Army, the state government, as also the Minister of Home Affairs are all aligned and are all working in a synergized manner to ensure that the development of vibrant villages take place as per the plan. What you mentioned about Dichu and Kaho, that is the first area where the vibrant villages come up. It's already come up. Most of the construction have already been done post the approval of the fund by the state government. So basically it is going to provide some sort of a facilities for our people also to go and utilize those facilities. So that's how it is going to help not only us, it is going to have help to the people as well.
Yes, please. In the end. Left side. अनुपम बोल रहा हूँ आज तक से। मेरा दूसरा सवाल म्यांमार से जो इन्फ्लक्स हो रहा है उसी पर है। एक अभी पिछले दिनों शायद पहली बार ऐसा हुआ कि जो म्यांमार फोर्सेस के जवान थे वो भी यहाँ आ गए थे। उनको शायद फिर सॉर्टी करके वापस भेजा गया। तो वो थोड़ा डिटेल फिगर हमें मिलता है क्या? अब तक कितने म्यांमार आर्मी के लोग यहाँ रिफ्यूज ले चुके हैं या उनको डिपोर्ट किया गया है?
वो ज्यादा नहीं है, वो जो छोटे छोटे पोस्ट थे उनके बॉर्डर के पास, when they were overrun by the opposing forces, so they had nowhere to go. So that time they had crossed the border and sought refuge in our camps which are located close to the border. It's very difficult to put a number, but I think about 100 से 200 के बीच में टोटल नंबर होंगे जिनको हम मोरे में ले जाके फिर उनको वापस भेज दिया था.
Any other question, please?
Good morning, sir. I'm Shomadip from Millennium Post. I wanted to just ask that in the Eastern Command area, operations become very difficult due to the terrain and due to which several long-distance endurance drones are being inducted, out of which I believe 2 or 3 has been inducted for the Eastern Command. And there was talks that a separate cadre would be raised for the operation of these drones. So any update on that front? And my second question would be, has the Eastern Command recently floated any requirement for induction of high-end sniper rifles? Thank you.
These are sniper rifle and all these are not procured at the command level. They are generally procured at the army level. So it is being dealt by the army headquarters because they only resort to the capital procurement. And I think they had already requested for certain interested parties to come and contact for high-end sniper rifle because that's a ongoing requirement. But that's done at the same army headquarters level. Individually, commands don't get involved in procurement of items which are in use by the entire army. We only procure items which are specifically required in Eastern Command. As far as drones are concerned, it's not only drones, actually all sorts of items which are based on the new technology. We are trying to exploit those new technology. Whatever developments are taking place in the field of surveillance equipment, in the field of drones, in the field of logistic drones which can carry logistics, to the forward areas, to the isolated posts. So whatever things are being developed by our own industry, whether it's a private industry or PSUs, so they all are being, we are looking at those items and whatever we find are of any help to us or they are likely to assist us or enhance our capability, we are trying to induct them, whether it is to the capital procurement or the procurement which is done at the revenue as part of revenue procurement as from the command level.
Sir, I am Amitava Roy from PTI. I wanted to ask, compared to Chinese development of infrastructure on their side, how are we faring in infrastructure development in our side, that is in Arunachal or Sikkim or others? And number two, sir, given the situation developing in the Myanmar side, that is in Manipur borders, are we also concentrating on developing road infrastructure and related infra in those areas? Thank you.
As far as if you compare the PLA infrastructure but vis-a-vis our infrastructure, in some of the areas definitely they have an advantage because they started early, or rather we started slightly later than some of them in certain areas. We have a lot of work still to do, but in last about 5 to 10 years, a lot of focus has been given on the infrastructure development, and I'm sure another couple of years we will be able to match the capability of the PLA, the rate at which we are carrying out the infrastructure development. But as of now, yes, they have certain amount of advantage over us as far as infrastructure in certain specific areas are concerned. Otherwise, we have been able to match up. Second question was about
Myanmar. Infra development.
Myanmar, yeah. Indo-Myanmar border, you are aware, is a different type of challenge. While we have the great Himalayas in the non-borders along the China border, we have the Patkai ranges with thick jungles along the Myanmar border. So there are certain problems as far as the infrastructure development is concerned, but recently the Honorable Home Minister had approved construction of the fence all along the Indo-Myanmar border. And there's a plan which has been made and based on which in phases certain that fence should come up, and alongside the fence the road infrastructure also would be developed. So it's a work in progress. Decision has been taken and it is going to be implemented. Some part has already been done. So there is a focus, adequate focus on that area as well.
Yeah, Maitri.
Sir, Eastern Command is the only command probably which has the largest number of bordering area with nations, like 5 countries we are surrounded by. These are Chinese, I use the word Chinese influence in almost all our neighboring countries which we are bordering with. How do you see the future of Eastern Command in coming days, especially in the since the geopolitical situation is constantly evolving and geopolitical and military situation is constantly evolving and developing? How do you see the future of Eastern Command in coming years, say 5 or 10 years? Thanks.
Evaluation of threats which may exist or which may come about across the borders, as far as the whole country is concerned, it is a constant process by which we continue to carry out assessment of various threats which can emanate from various parts across the borders. So that's a constant process, and our plans and our acquisitions and our preparations have to be in place to cater for those threats. So there are various, departments which are there who carry out such sort of assessment, based on which we carry out our own preparation so that we are able to meet those future challenges. And as far as Eastern Command is concerned, I think our plans and our preparations and our structures which are there, as also the equipments, facilitates addressing any such problems in future. So we are quite well prepared. Certain amount of processes are still ongoing. They have to be. That's a continuous process. The continuous refinement will take place in your equipments, in your surveillance equipments, or the other support structures which is required. So that continuous refinement is an ongoing process. But as of now, definitely we are quite well prepared.
Any other question? Or we heard in the last one? Thank you. Sir, आप इतने समय तक ईस्टर्न कमांड के प्रमुख रहे और पूर्वोत्तर आपके क्षेत्र में आता है। अब भी देखने को ये मिलता है कि पूर्वोत्तर के जो क्षेत्र हैं वहाँ पर जो युवाओं की एक, भले ही आतंकवाद धीरे धीरे कम रहा हो, लेकिन युवाओं में एक तरह की आतंकवाद के प्रति जो वहाँ जाने की, अभी कुछ दिन पहले खबर आई कि असम से एक पत्रकार ने जो है वो उल्फा ज्वाइन की। इस तरह की घटनाओं को देखते हुए आप पूर्वोत्तर के युवाओं को जो इस मार्ग में जाना चाहते हैं उनके लिए क्या संदेश देना चाहते हैं, ताकि जो भारत का जो युवा पीढ़ी है, जो पूर्वोत्तर का जो युवा पीढ़ी है, वो भी देश के निर्माण में अपना योगदान दे?
I think the people in Northeast, majority of the people in Northeast are aware of the fruits of peace and development and a secure, stable and internal security situation. So I think the responsibility lies with the society as well. The teachers in the schools, the parents, the elders, the religious teachers, whether it is of different religions, whether it is imam or whether it is father or whether it is a panditji. I think it is the responsibility of the society at large to advise the youth of the society which direction they should take, number one. And number two, I think is the responsibility of the authorities in power, whether it is state government, whether it is army, whether it is CAPF or the police, to make the youth aware of the opportunities which are there if they adhere to peaceful resolution of all the problems. So I think it's our collective responsibility to educate and make the youth aware of what lies in future for them and what is the correct path for them. I would only urge them not to get swayed by the negative sentiments which are driven by certain enemical elements and who are interested in certain other areas developments. They should not get swayed by those negative sentiments. They should look at the positive side of the developmental activities that are taking place and come and join the peace and development which is taking place in the state and in the entire Northeast. I think that's a message I think we should give it to them. And we can work towards prosperity if we work collectively and if we make each other aware of the fruits of development.
So we finished with the.
Okay, let's.
सभी नामा से मीनाक्षी बोल रही हूँ। सर, आपने बहुत सालों तक आर्मी की जो सेवा की है, उस दरमियान आपके कुछ अनुभव हमसे भी साझा करें, तो हमें लगेगा कि आने वाले समय में जो आने वाली पीढ़ी है, उन तक ये आपके जो अनुभव है, हम पहुंचा सकें।
It's very difficult to put across experiences of 40 years in a question and answer session. But only a couple of things which I have been telling in all the forums wherever I have met people, particularly the young children, whenever I go to various schools and colleges. So what I have been advising the children is one must dream and one must dream big, and then thereafter work hard to fulfill that dream. It's not that dreaming alone will give you whatever you want, because it requires a lot of hard work, a lot of commitment to fulfill those dreams. I think all of us need to dream big and then work towards achieving that dream. That's the first thing what I realized. And the second thing what I would like to say is, I think the hard work, honesty definitely brings in rewards in our system, and they are recognized always, and every organization I think recognizes commitment, sincerity and hard work, honest hard work. I think with our commitment towards the nation, towards the armed forces, we, Indian Army in general and Eastern Command in particular, will be able to fulfill all its mandate of safeguarding the nation from any side, any sort of threat in the futures. So I think that with that I will end my talk.
Ujjwal, last question for the ANI. What has the response to the Agnipath scheme been in the Eastern region, sir? And what is the message for the youth also the Eastern region?
As of now, it's just started 2 years into the scheme. So let it evolve. And I think we have got very favorable responses from the people all across Northeast who have come in large numbers to join as per the Agnipath scheme. The responses have been very good, and we'll have to wait for a couple of more years to see how it evolves. So I think we'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. You are requested to join us for tea after the. Thank you so much.
Once again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for always your positive support. And I always believe that media has got a large role to play in spreading the right messages to the right people at the right time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.